Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending September's meeting. We'll start off with our building principals. Do we have any questions for any of our building principals here this evening?
Mr. Hutchison, is everything going okay for planning sometime this year? The infrastructure down here at the high school?
Yeah, I think we should be okay. I think if we go through the parade, obviously, I don't think we can get, there's a parking lot grading, we'll have to change some, maybe route. I don't think we can take flatbeds and pickup trucks up through there where they paved the way to, when they demolished the sewage plant. So it's about a 4-foot drop. Myself and Mr. Pegg rode through it. Depending on the weather, and depending on how many are coming up through there, we don't want to dig all that up. So maybe just looking at the changing of the route, and then obviously whether we decide the homecoming parade or some adaptations, we can look at.
Some of the things we discussed with the homecoming parade was possibly having a similar parade as we did last year with the high school band, the cheerleaders and so forth on the field beforehand, like with all the floats and everything that we did. We were still unsure if we should have that parade or if we should operate like we did last year. We modify it to include the homecoming court and their cars around the track, the band, the cheerleaders, and so on and so forth like we did last year. We're not sure how much we would have as far as participation with the elementary floats and not having staff in place to be able to handle everything. So that was something that we had talked about. So more than likely that would be similar to last year's activities that we held. Anything to add, Jason?
No, that's
Is the base under the track sufficient to handle?
the cars going around? Yes. Yeah, I believe so. I tell you, when they
Trucks
redid,
and floats?
when they, yeah, well, last year we had just the convertible cars that went around the track. When they redid the track, correct me if I'm wrong, Duke, bless you. They had some trucks down there. They had some things on there, some heavy equipment when they were working on the field. So I don't see it as a problem to make one lap around with the girls in it.
The floats wouldn't be going around the track,
Just the cars.
Well, I agree with that. I don't think we should take the chance of bringing any damage to that track because there obviously is nobody to fix it to repair.
Right, but it would be similar to what we did last year. Very similar.
Okay, any questions for any other principals? If principals need to report to the board, those are what was in your board reports?
Go ahead.
Now, I just have a question basically to the elementary principals because I know some of the classroom enrollments were larger than what we've had in the past. Has there been, I know it's not ideal, okay, but we're not working under ideal circumstances, but do you feel that there are any classrooms that are suffering because of the increase in enrollment?
Kindergarten. 32 students in the kindergarten churches.
Thank you.
Kindergarten.
Are we? Which building? Smithfield. Oh, okay, exactly. So I know that when we had talked about this before, we said anything over 30, was not acceptable. So I mean, if we've got, is it 32? Right now, 32, 34. So I mean, we anything to address that?
Well, we did rehire the library aides as classroom aides to try to help out with the class size in those kindergartens, both at A.L. Wilson. I think A.L. Wilson's kindergarten numbers are very similar. I think you have 29 and 30, Mrs. Baker.
At 30.
Excuse me?
29 and 30.
29 and 30 and 31 and 32 in those 4 kindergartens. And we do have classroom aides that are working in those rooms to try to help with those numbers. It's not another teacher, but we have taken steps to try to address the need for help in those classrooms. As Mr. Bevan said, it's not ideal. I agree that it's not, but we are trying to address it the best we can. We certainly could use training for our classroom aides. They were library aides in the past, and it's not the same type of job in the classroom as they had served as a library aide in the past. I think all the other class size is fairly decent. We do have some larger enrollment. I think at Plava, Dr. Witt, you have a couple of classes that are in the upper 20s.
Our kindergarten right now is we have 3 classes, they're roughly 25 apiece. And then our 3rd grade is closer to 30. But we did have some students transfer to other schools, so it's not as high. It's not at the 30 mark anymore.
I know the numbers at Masontown, I think you guys are pretty decent. You don't have any exceptionally large class sizes, Lisa, correct?
Correct. Our largest is our 1st grade with 25 in each 1st grade, but I only have 2 of each, and we're good with class size.
Okay. Krista, other than your kindergarten, was it
2nd grade.
2nd grade? What are your numbers in 2nd grade?
29 and 30. We're just enrolled in new 2nd graders today.
Okay. I know Friendship Hill, we do have higher class size. I believe it was 5th grade at Friendship Hill, as well as 3rd grade.
Thank you.
Any other questions, anything from the principals to report?
Are we doing with the elementary schools, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Are we doing the trunk retreat again this year that some of the different elementary schools, I know that's always been.
I have one that called and inquired about it, and I got that settled with her today.
Oh, okay, so we're good.
Only one school required.
Oh, okay,
It's really, it's all parent led.
okay.
Jason?
As you know, we introduced that code.org to 11th and 12th graders in high school. With that comes some other things. I'm asking the board for their support in exploring what they call as a high school esports league. It would maybe consist of about 20 kids with this coding and things like that, where they are gaming. A license to start it is $592 for the fall. Take about 20 students. A 3-year plan, which I don't think we're there yet. I would just like to explore the fall. Is $2,144. At the college level, for instance, Robert Morris, they're offering scholarships with this type of gaming and things like that. Other participating school districts, Upper St. Clair and Fox Chapel at this time. How it would work is students would meet once a week for practice for about 2 hours. If we explored it, we could play 2 games. 6 students would be on a team, and they would play 1 game a week, probably on Mondays and Tuesdays. Now with that $592, we talked about maybe charging the kids $20. If we had 20, that'd be about $400. But we may have to pay, or we would have to pay the teacher who would oversee it in the evenings. Again, for the cost and what this may do, I feel that if we can get these kids involved, obviously it's their generation, and if we can compete and someone can benefit from it, I think it would be worth it just to explore at least for the fall semester.
Jason, what did you say the cost was?
It's $592 for the buy-in.
Have you seen this?
I have. It's pretty much in a roundabout way. It's a video game league. Hopefully it would take off like a club, for instance, Interact Club or anything like that. I'm not sure if it will here. They can play on PS4 if the kids would bring it in. They could also play online if they chose, chose that route.
Do you have any interested teachers?
I do. I think I have one as of now. I'll be honest with you. I got maybe about 5 or 6 kids now, chomping at the bit. I would like to get 20 and separate it into some teams. That would be my goal.
Are there any parameters to the type of games that they would be involved with?
No, it's the team games that we selected would be Rainbow Six Siege and Overwatch, which is the 2 games that come with this package.
So they're not violent games.
I don't know the violence end of it, but I'll check into it. I'll definitely look into the violent end of it.
Jason, if you don't mind me adding, a group of those students actually approached me on Friday of last week. And they said they spoke to you and they were very excited about it because a lot of these kids I have in class and are part of my activity. So these kids are gung-ho. They actually put a grade requirement. They put what systems would need, who their officers would be, who'd be the overseeing team. They put this all together before they approached Mr. Hutchinson about this. So these kids actually have a good plan intact before this even goes about.
I will also let you know there is a free season that you can subscribe to. However, if we go that route, I'm afraid maybe just based on the willingness to stay and go, with charging or what we're looking into it, might be better off in our route. Again, they would provide their own transportation to or back, after hours.
You're only going to be playing registered students. No.
Yes, they have to register for a team. They have to go through the whole process of registering to get onto these programs.
Could you bring the format on Wednesday night so we could get a better look at that?
Yeah, I have a little format here that I can make copies for you. Just the overall, but it is. I do know it is taking off. Obviously, not around here yet. However, I think it's something for our kids to at least explore. But I will check on the game rating, those type of things, without a doubt.
I have from our JROTC with us, Lieutenant Colonel G.I. Joe Walsh. I know Lieutenant Colonel was going to be taking a group of students, or is hoping to take a group of students. Lieutenant Colonel, I did pass out some literature to the board. Is anything you would like to speak to, Lieutenant Colonel?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mr. Begg, and the board members. This is something I've been doing with the cadets in my last assignment for 8-9 years, and I've partnered with the Stephen Siller Foundation. And it's an opportunity, as you saw at the football game when we had the 9/11 flag out there, so we never forget. This is part of it too, is to educate our youth about what took place. So versus just going to Shanksville, the neat thing about this, it's end of year money. The hotel rooms are going to be staying at the Marriott Hotel downtown, right across from Ground Zero, 4-star hotel. They got bathrobes and everything, the free run of the hotel. Never lost a cadet yet, minus in the race. But they get an opportunity not to only go see the city, but to visit the sites of Ground Zero and talk to firefighters, first responders, and survivors. They're actually invited to a dinner. All of it's been fundraised, so the dinner's free for them, the hotel's free for them. The only expenditure is the 2 vans that we've requested to go from here to New York City. The vans drop us off. I'll be driving one, Sergeant Harmon will be driving the other. We'll have 4 adults and 16 kids. 18 of us will be running in the race, and the 2 will be chaperones on the other end, waiting for us to finish and have the water, juice, and everything. The kids get to bond with the firefighters and everybody in the race. Over 40,000 people last year. This year it's going to be similar. It's getting larger and larger, but it's a great experience. We'll have plenty of videos and pictures to share with you in local newspaper. So my intent would be actually to see if you guys would support us on that run. So.
Any questions from the board for Lieutenant Colonel? Retired?
Retired, as my kids would say, but not dead.
Will the 2 vans be enough? So you have a request for the 2 vans?
It's 2 vans. They're
What, 10 passenger?
10 passenger. Yeah, 10 passenger vans, and they're going down with an overnight, so they're only carrying a bag. So what's neat is we conduct the race. The hotel keeps room open for us. We keep all our bags in there. They shower before we come back, and then they'll probably crash the whole way. It's roughly 6 hours down, and then 6 hours back. So we should have everybody back Sunday evening between 8 and 9 p.m.
Okay, I believe, excuse me, this is on the agenda for Wednesday night, so,
Okay.
okay, no questions? Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel.
And I'd just like to caveat on what the principal's saying over here in reference to activities. Mr. Pegg, we did get the robotics in. The principal's aware we're partnering with Mr. Diamond in the engineering. They've already have the robots. We've got the arena, the 12x12 arena. So that's another opportunity for STEM that we're incorporating in the high school with the support of the principal and co-working with other teachers within inside the district. Just got word too from JRTC. They've got every school in the brigade and across 3,000 schools are going to be pushed down with robotics. So that's an opportunity to explore as we go down this year and in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See, Mrs. Brickvich, special ed, I'm going to jump down a little bit, guys. Mrs. Brickvich, anything with special ed?
We just finished our report to the IMU that goes to the state for reconciliations and justifications over changes in numbers from last year. For example, they look at this in terms of ages of students that are learning support related as opposed to the year before. We have to write a justification for a lot of different categories as to the changes in numbers. If the numbers stay the same, then we don't have to justify them. So that was something that I had done before, but we made it through it unscathed. And then we had one scare, Mr. Pegg probably, we may have told you about it or not. We got a letter from the state at the end of August saying that we didn't return all of our past materials. Well, then today we got a letter from the state saying, yes, we did. So sometimes they make mistakes too. We were scurrying around trying to find out where these materials could have been. No one had any. There was nothing to report. We couldn't figure out why we got this letter. I'm not surprised because the IU told me that this has happened in the past. It just never happened to us before. So that was a bit of a scare for us, but I'm glad to say that everything's okay. We're watching some numbers for some of our classrooms on life skills at South Middle School. It's pretty high right now, but not high enough to do anything dramatic, but I'll keep you posted on that. So far, so good. Any questions?
How many students are in the life skills class?
20 right now.
How many aides?
Well, there are
Some have
one-on-one
perfect
aides
areas.
that are for students
Right.
specifically, but there's only one classroom aide in there that assists Mrs. Allen.
And how many students have personal care?
I want to say there's probably 4 or 5 in there that have personal aides. I was in there today, this morning, but off the top of my head, I'm saying roughly 4 or 5 students.
So, kids.
Any other questions for Mrs. Brickvich?
I'd like to add one more thing. Mrs. Bezak and I are applying for a grant that's going to allow us, perhaps if we get it, to use the DIBELS test, which we already use for processing students through reading issues. And there's a grant that's already out there. This is an add-on that we would be associated with that might bring $40,000 per year for 2 years to us if we get it. That will help us use that test to figure out whether or not students in our district have dyslexia. So there's some new studies out there, and this grant pertains to the use of that test for diagnosis of the dyslexic students. So we're working on it. We've processed the application. They know that they have our application. Now we're just waiting to hear whether or not they're going to allow us to go through it. Thanks, Mrs. Bezak, for your help on that.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Brickvich. Mrs. Bezak?
I just want to report to the board that I did get word back that our Title I plan, which was a little bit worrisome to me because normally it comes back immediately because it was submitted this summer. And there is a new person in charge of federal programming at a real high level. So she's obviously reading the applications very thoroughly, which is much appreciated. We did get ours back. There was just a slight verbiage change that she wanted to see. Other than that, it got approved, so that was a good thing. I do want to say that the calendars went to print for the district, so we can rest assured that the parents will get their district calendar, a little bit of a revised version from years past. but I actually think it'll be better. So those will be coming out. We sent it last week on Thursday, I believe, and there's a pretty decent pretty quick turnaround. So those will be out. 1 month off, but it'll be all right. I did include in my packet the email that was sent home to the grade 5 grandparents regarding their district email for their 5th grade students and the one-to-one Chromebook initiative. So that was just a sample of the parent correspondence that was sent home. We also, I do have an opportunity, I told this to Mr. Hutchison, we have an opportunity, and I actually penciled him in, and perhaps in the executive session you can decide this. Some districts are experimenting with another version of the online, a way to bring back the kids from online school that aren't participating in our COLA program. This gentleman would like to come speak. He's willing to come and present his program. I know I've heard it. I know that the principals of the high school have heard him. When we look at the list of students that are participating in things like Agora, PA, Cyber, this might be something that would bring them back to us. Not necessarily saying that they would be back into the building, but they would participate in our version, and it's not necessarily our COLA. The other school district that I had contacted still maintained their version of COLA, but they also had this version. We have one student that's using it right now for an AD class that is no longer offered in our district. There just have been some snafus, and she realizes that she's taking one for the team on this one to see how it works and to see how easily the coursework is facilitated. So actually, there is an opportunity for this gentleman to come. I can work with Mr. Pegg to see if there'd be a little bit of time. I don't want to, prolong meetings more than we need to, but it might be something that we need to hear, and how much could you possibly look at saving for us if we can bring even a few of those students back on board. Other than that, I have prepared, I did put in the packet before you leave for executive session. Finally, delineate what we're doing with our federal money. It's a 2-pager of just the different initiatives that Title I, Title II, and Title IV are paying for, so that you would be aware if you hear these buzzwords and programs in the buildings, you'll know that that's how those initiatives are paid for. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Bezak. Any questions for Mrs. Bezak?
I have one. Mrs. Bezak, do we have an estimate of how many students are in a program other than our?
It was 55, right?
In the district, 65?
55.
55.
That might have changed. I don't know when the last time you changed.
When I was down there, Jason, I met with you, instead of saying email you, I printed it out, it was around 55. And they range.
That are outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have how many in our program?
Last time I checked, it was 15. And we may have fluctuated up, maybe 3, 4, and one's on pending. So we may have 18.
Thank you.
Anything else for Mrs. Bezak? Thank you, Larry. Mr. Hutchinson, anything else with secondary schools?
No, we're administering the PACE survey tomorrow in grades 6, 8, 10, and 12, which is from the state. And then they provide us with the data that comes back to our area. So students in 6, 8, 10, and 12 will participate in that survey tomorrow.
I believe, Mr. Hutchinson, there was information went out to parents that they could choose to opt out of the PACE survey.
Yeah, they can choose to opt out of the survey.
It's not mandatory that they take it. Parents are allowed to come in and view the survey to make that decision. The survey does ask students many questions about things in their home life, and but parents did have the opportunity to view it if they so chose, and they could opt their students out.
Correct.
And this is grades 6, 8, 10, and 12.
Yes.
Any questions?
Just in general, how's everything going with the metal detectors and the bag checks? Is there ever any problems with anything with anyone?
We've done all right. We're doing much better. I think first week or so, the buses kind of threw a snafu in it, just the timing. So that was a little hiccup. But I think all in all,
We're getting them. We did before 20 after 7.
Yeah, we did.
Except we are late arrivals.
We are putting everything through. so no cell phones, nothing. They can either go in a backpack or in a bowl to slide through. So at the high school level, we're moving along pretty well.
We pretty much eliminated the open containers. Seems to be working smoother than well.
About the doors, the back doors, they staying closed?
Yeah, the back doors have remained closed. I did speak to everybody that utilizes in and out of the back doors. I did speak to the whole entire staff, as well as custodians at the high school, just about the doors, as well as the teachers.
The elementaries, everything's okay there, the backpacks clear, everything's okay.
I was there 2 or 3 days at various schools, and it ran pretty good. I was amazed at how well they adapted, and there's probably only a handful of kids that didn't have a clear or a mesh backpack. And I mean, it went, it was a whole lot smoother than I thought it was going to be. And it went through pretty quick. And now it's picking up even faster because they got the routine down.
And I do want to thank Mrs. Bezak and all the elementary principals because they did make that very seamless and answered questions from parents. I thought that the parents were very cooperative with the students, even the pre-K coming in. You know, watched them in there at Freshville this morning, and so very few issues.
And we've had donations, like the thank Mrs. Rosie making sure passing around, just if someone's are breaking, we have extras to give, so.
Laura Smith and Janet Dietrich, their group that reaches out to the community members, donated backpacks, about 24 of them.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Dupont, athletics.
The fall sports got started off on a pretty good note. Our football team's 2-0 right now, so that's good for us. Hopefully we'll pick up another victory this Friday against James Buchanan. Volleyball team finished second in the tournament. Our boys soccer team's doing very well. I think they're 4-5-1 right now. Cross country's won a couple of their matches. But things are going well in that aspect. Hope to have a nice crowd this Friday. We had a really nice crowd. You know, our first home game along with the kickoff season that Mr. Pig instituted went over very well. Just a heads up, I think the softball team's looking to go to Myrtle Beach this year, just like the baseball team, at no cost to the district. They're going to be seeking your approval here pretty soon within the next couple of months. And then with that being said, we're looking to get some infield mix on the softball field. I currently have one quote at $3,950. That's for the labor and the infield mix. So I'll need to see if we can get approval with that. I can try to get another quote. I do know there was another company that was here that we no longer use. There's not many around here that I can get quotes off.
Where's that quote out of?
Thomas Croter. Thomas Croter.
Wayne, are there issues with the girls softball field right now with
It's very hard. It definitely needs something put on there. I just know that type of infield mix that we have, it's top of the line, but it needs water routinely. And we obviously don't have water up there, before the games and stuff like that. But it's very hard and compact it down pretty good.
When's the last time we put mix on that?
2 or 3 years ago, I want to say.
2 years ago.
Wayne, this is work that you need to get done in the fall.
Preferably.
Yeah.
I'd rather do it now because if you wait until the spring season, it's not a good idea.
So I can add that to the agenda for Wednesday night. If you wait any longer than October or September, the weather's liable to not hold up and you're not going to get it completed. So I'll add that to the agenda.
Reason because we're putting it in the fall so it facilitates the rest of the ground. We tried to do that over at ACC there a few years ago. We had ended up playing 2 or 3 home games away because it turned to freaking mud. And that stuff has to be put on in the fall.
Absolutely. I wasn't part of that, but just let you know.
Any questions for Mr. Dupont?
How's the participation in fall sports?
It's going well. I mean, participation's up. The only thing we're lacking right now is high school girls cross country, but we have a lot in the middle school program, so I'm anticipating us having numbers there next year. But other than that, everything else it's up. I mean, it's going well. Boys soccer's right around 16, 17, and girls soccer's up close to 20.
Yeah, we're watching the boys and women.
Volleyball's up around 20.
Like, Joe, one of the sports aren't really going well with golf.
Pardon me?
The golf team's not going real well.
Yeah, we're struggling a little bit in that aspect. They did win a match or two, but we don't have any primetime PGA golfers out there. But they're working hard. They're improving. They're trying. The scores are coming down a little bit.
Thank you, Dwayne. Troy, food service?
Thank you, Mr. Craig. School got off to a pretty good start. We are having, continuing to learn our new point of sale system, dealing with some issues with their program, trying to get that up to speed. It's a little bit of being a different program and learning it and working with them to make the program what we need it to be. But I've been working with each school individually to try to get them up to speed one at a time. We are currently looking for substitutes. I know this is televised, so please stop down to the administrative office to see me and I'll get you set up with an application. That's probably our main issue, and other than that, the school got off to a start and we fed every student who needed to know.
Any questions for Troy? Steamers all working well, Troy?
Yes, sir.
With the kitchen equipment that we took out, that is in storage, and we're going to look to sell that equipment, correct?
That's correct. I wanted to talk with our maintenance guys. We do have one unit at the high school that it's just outlived its life. So what I'd like to do is pull from those, probably the oven that came out of Smithfield, I'd like to see it taken to the high school. It's in much better condition and give us more longevity. But the other ones that we have on hand, I would suggest this.
All right, thank you, Troy. Technology, Mr. Boland.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I really don't have anything outside of what was outlined on my board report, unless anyone has any questions for myself.
What's wrong with the call-off system?
What's wrong with the call system?
Yeah, I'm getting more complaints from substitutes, custodians, everybody with this call-off system.
Well, other than the
They don't understand it or what?
that seems to be one of the bigger hurdles. Is it is new, so a lot of people are having a hard time, moving from what they're used to the new system. I met with a few folks today in person to help them kind of understand. It seems to be it's just the specialty groups like the cafeteria workers, the custodians. Teacher-wise, it's been working great. Filling positions, doing as it's supposed to. Like I said, the only couple hurdles that we have still are just the specialty groups that we're niching out, but. For the most part, as far as issues, it's isolated to individuals that can't log in, don't know how to log in, just because it's new.
Are we still using Rachel on that?
I believe is she still doing?
Right now for the custodians, they are using the ASOP system, the front line, but we also have her just emailing Rachel as well, because we don't have enough custodian subs. We're very limited, and that ASOP system has not been able to be utilized for calling overtime for subs. Like going from building seniority, making calls or then going district-wide, senior-wide to fill the overtime need, the custodian calls off and then goes summer. So that's the difficulty we've had with the system, and I know Mr. Boland, correct me if I'm wrong, you've had numerous conversations, as well as Kathy Ersberger and Jenny Schwan, with the people from Frontline. They told us that this could work for all these things, but that's where we're having the difficulties with the custodian department and the overtime piece.
Can it be corrected?
Well,
That's what we're trying to work out. We have one more meeting this week, and I'm hoping to come up with a final resolution, but we're this close. I mean, it's.
I've also got a couple phone calls on the Chrome, on kids, on homework, on their Gmail. Not getting into the teachers. They said they've come to talk to you about it with their Chrome.
We have only heard from one kid, at least I can speak for myself. There's been one student that's come down and had an issue which seemed to be unique to, I believe it was a female, to her individual account. I can't speak for the other guys if they've heard from anyone.
There's been some, they've got phone calls.
Okay.
And the teachers aren't getting these kids home.
Okay.
They're doing the homework, they're not getting what the teachers on.
Okay.
There's a screw up.
Okay.
If they talk to me, I said, go see you.
Right. Again, I haven't heard from any teachers. I've only spoke to one student myself. I'll
I check in and send the teachers an email, see if they're out of call.
Okay.
principals, are you aware of any problems with the Chromebooks, with assignments and things not getting?
Not assignments necessarily, but logins and things of that nature, but we handle that daily.
All right, I told them I'd check in and ask you about it.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Boland?
Did you use any Chromebooks with the week?
The glycol leak?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
How many?
28 devices.
28?
Yes. Which, it could have been a lot worse.
Yes, yes.
Because there was a few hundred stacked in that area. So I went through personally every single one, and there were 28 that were just too engulfed with the fluid.
Is that something that we just have to, cost-wise, we just have to eat it, or was it covered by insurance?
I've worked with Vince. Our deductible for the insurance, it's just,
Okay.
it's not worth it, so.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Boland. The transportation, Bill's not here, but I know the transportation, we try to work through a lot of difficulties without having Bill full-time. I know that people have chipped in to help. I know Mr. DuPont is taking the vans and the transportation for athletics. I know Mrs. Bezak, Mrs. Pritvich, Mr. Hutchinson, the building principals. You know, it's been difficult dealing with some of the issues on days where Mr. Quantum isn't working. We're trying to work through those issues. We've been meeting with the auditor. I have a meeting scheduled with the auditor tomorrow that wanted to speak to me in regards to transportation. So I'll have more information for you there for Wednesday night's meeting. I know that I've had a lot of calls or complaints that phone calls aren't being returned, to parents if they've had a problem with their child's bus stop or bus time and so on. And I know with Mr. Quantum only working 2 days a week, that some of those calls aren't being returned the same day, the next day. It might be if they call on a Friday, they're not getting a call back till Tuesday from Bill. But I did meet with Mr. DuPont and Mrs. Panning that we're forwarding Mr. Parnham's phone calls to them to try to at least reach out and make a return call to a parent with a question to let them know that we will be handling your concerns and doing what we can to address any issues that they may have. So in case you've been hearing some, getting some calls from parents and complaining, that's whole part of the, the issues and concerns we have with transportation at this time. I don't know if you have any questions and maybe I can field or answer, or Mr. DuPont, any questions from the board?
I believe our busing outfit, they have trouble with bus drivers.
Well, that's a nationwide issue with bus drivers. I mean, I think we have bus drivers for every bus right now, but unfortunately, we did have a bus driver resign Friday before school started, and then we did have a couple of our bus drivers that passed away over the summer, unexpected. And just not having enough drivers is a lot of districts are struggling with. But I think right now, we at least have a driver for every bus that we have in motion.
Do you have a percentage of how many of our students utilize bus transportation rather than maybe parents taking them to school?
It varies. I mean, we assign our buses. You may have 80 students assigned to a bus, but they all don't ride the bus. The only ones that wouldn't ride the bus and don't get assigned are students that live in the attendance area and, they live outside the attendance area and their parents have to take it. We cannot assign them a bus because there's no bus to assign them. But every student in the high school is assigned a bus, even though some drive, some are dropped off. Not all of them ride every day. So we do have daily reports that we get monthly reports from the contractor letting us know how many students rode the bus. Percentage-wise, I don't have that information for you. Our report that we do at each train is due the 25th of this month. Basically goes by the number of students assigned to that bus in the AM, and then the PM, and the miles with students, miles without, and that drives your reimbursement. So with us reducing the bus fleet and assigning more kids to the bus, and it being a newer fleet, we should see a higher rate of return in our transportation reimbursement. Mr. Belchick, financial.
Included in the packet was the activity for the district for the month of August, some bills for payment and cash balances. In addition to that, we've been busy with the state auditors who have been scheduled intermittently coming into the office and working with our local auditors to gather the fiscal information so that we can begin the audit for 1890. Questions?
How's everything going?
Good, good. I'm filling my way through a lot of different procedures, trying to examine different things so I can set my goals for the year, and that's the progress. So, moving forward.
I'm wondering on Wednesday night if you could help figure for me, table the unpaid taxes, we want about this whole year.
Unpaid taxes?
Yes.
For just historically, or?
You do it both, like for this past school year,
Just for the year?
just for the year. Yes,
Just for the real estate? Right.
yes. Just those.
What are we doing as a district regarding the fact that the county hasn't reimbursed us or any of the other school districts I'm aware of for our, what would have been due to us from the tax sales? I mean, it could potentially be $200,000. And I know this was a discussion we had before you were on board, so I'm not sure if you're aware of it now or not, but essentially over the last several years, the county has been collecting but not distributing to the appropriate school districts and municipalities, local municipalities, the money that they've collected through the tax sale. So I think that's something that as a board we should, move forward with taking some kind of action. I know we talked to Mr. Price about that before, but it's been several months ago, and I know that made some, I don't know if it was in the newspaper or if it was just all over social media.
I actually gave him the article that, Mr.
Okay.
Price, the article that was in the paper.
Okay.
I did give him that, but I really feel that probably too, that it would be maybe more in our favor if all the school districts would come together possibly and meet with commissioners or whomever, or something, just have some sort of a meeting. I mean, I don't know, that's a possibility, but I agree, we need to look into it.
Frankly, I think that, that may sound good in theory, but I think it could take many more months to get all the different school boards in line to.
Well, I think we should move on. I think we should move on, and at some point, I think maybe with us being more numbers, maybe something could possibly be done
Maybe if we take the leadership role and actually facilitate the other boards to go on, you know, the other.
Yeah, that's true too. It definitely needs to be looked into, but I did get to the next word a little bit, the health standard. It's color standard.
The amount of money will just continue to be a loss to Gallatin as well as other districts. Because if the county can get away with what they've been doing, they're not going to change.
No, they're not going to change it.
I hope the money's still there.
Well, in that particular article, they were putting money all kinds of places to make up for their shortcomings, where they didn't have enough money, according to that article.
Do we have a tentative number that we think should have been dispersed to us that hasn't been?
I don't believe that article. They just said they were using the money for the county in the way they thought to make up again for, you know, and they didn't have enough money.
There's gonna have to be an accounting by the county, because I don't think that we're independently monitoring which properties are actually sold, and then how do you divide up? It's gonna be up to the county to say, okay, this much is gonna go to the local municipality, this much needs to go to the school, this much needs to go to the county.
Sure.
So I don't know if those numbers or something, it would be a big task to try to compute those numbers ourselves. For several years, this has been going on for years.
I think the county.
I'm just saying the problem is in deciding whether or not it's cost effective to in David's action, it'd be nice to know how much you stand to gain.
Well, I would be in favor of doing something so they realize that we want the money we were entitled to.
If we don't do something,
Yeah.
we're going to continue to lose every year.
Yeah, they want everyone to probably just ignore it. I don't know, can you look into that for us?
Yes, we'll have an update on it next time.
Okay, is that okay?
Yep. See, maintenance, I know that Mr. Kodak and Mr. Chapley have been working with maintenance 1, maintenance 2, the positions that we created in place of the buildings and grounds supervisor. Been in close contact with those two gentlemen. I know that we had some issues. I think at A.L. Wilson, we lost the water tower as far as the air conditioning. Mrs. Baker, I think that has been replaced and the air conditioning is working fine now.
It is working, but we still have 2 rooms upstairs and the library that needs to be looked at by HVAC. And I know Baker's has been in contact with them to get them out there to take care of that. But otherwise, the building seems to be cool.
Okay. Likewise, at central office, we did have one of our units go down, the motor needed replaced, and so I know they've been taking care of that. And it seems to be, working out all right. I know Mr. Chapley has been going on some different shifts, checking on custodians, visiting our custodians that were newly hired, making sure that they understand their sections and what they do daily, weekly, and so on. Maintenance has been very busy throughout the district, but things right now are going okay, and that's a work in progress to see how we will continue with that pilot program with the maintenance 1 and maintenance 2 positions. Any questions with maintenance at this point?
I know, all of you probably don't want to hear about this, but the entryway at South, where the paint was never taken care of, I'm being told that it wasn't taken care of again. I know we were in transition with the position.
We looked at covering that with metal versus scraping it and painting it. And there were a couple of estimates that Mr. Cheslow had that I can't locate. And I did talk to Mr. Todak, and we still need to, if we can find the estimates, if we get pricing, that would be to cover that. To the best of my memory, I want to say that the one quote that Mr. Cheslow had from the company was $27,000 to cover that with metal, so it would be corrected, but would be repainted again down the road. So that was, from memory, about $27,000 for that project.
Could you mention it to
Yep.
Mr. Dillo, is that paint flaking?
I don't think so, but it looks awful.
Yeah, it's looked awful for several, well, more than several.
Yeah. But I think you should probably look at two things, either covering and encapsulating with metal, or maybe having like an abatement process with the lead paint, and probably get two different quotes on that is probably the route you may want to look into.
I think we did have 2 quotes, I just can't locate them in the office that Mr. Cheslow had. So I will try to locate them and see if we can find them, and then maybe get current quotes if they're from several months.
I may know the guys that he got quotes off of, but we discussed that, so we can talk maybe more about it.
Excuse me? No, that was something Mr. Cheslow had, and I think he may have presented that was a cost or estimates. I think he had 2 different estimates.
Getting put off.
See, Chief Alecki, security, school safety.
I have nothing new for the board right now. We're starting school, parking permits being in and out. The parking lot's not as full as what it was last year. I think the additional spaces for the sewage plant eliminated some of the problem down there. We've gotten some complaints about student drivers that have been addressed. The principals met with them the other day and spoke to all the drivers that were driving. We started charging for the temporary permits today. There was 30 drivers that bought a temp, and there was 26 drivers that got tagged. And we have 60 drivers that have permits. So we're probably looking at about 120 total drivers. Hopefully by the end of the week here, we'll have more of them into the permanent permits.
I'm sure, Chief, you're aware of this. In fact, you even alluded to it, but I've gotten some complaints about people that live behind the football stadium whenever it's dismissal time, and a lack of control by the young drivers when you're exiting the park.
Well, and Mr. Hutchinson's addressed a couple of them down there. I got some calls into the barracks. We're going to get a couple troop cars in to sit down in that area. That seemed to solve the problem last year when they stopped 4 or 5 of them, issued citations. I can truthfully, we had the township down there 1 year to put a flashing speed sign up, you know, what their speed was. You know, we preached to them it's 15 miles an hour, and some of them, it's just not getting through. And yeah, I don't know how to solve it other than
Mr.
housekeeping
Hutchinson,
acts.
you guys.
I did address it, I got a call Wednesday. I think I got a call Tuesday and Wednesday. I met with them Thursday. When I got the call Wednesday, they couldn't give me a description of the car. I did give one description of the vehicle, but it wasn't exactly what the witness said. So I addressed them all. I did.
Matter of fact, the one car description we got, we don't even have that
I don't
car
have
in
a
the lot. So we don't think it's a good driver.
But I'm looking every day.
There is a stop sign at the end of our parking lot, right? Is
Right.
that they're not stopping at the sign?
No, they're stopping there. There's actually a guard down there helping them out.
Get out.
What happens is they make the left-hand turn and some of them punch it. And a lot of what happens, they cross the bridge and they get around the other side there and they go out. The 15-mile-an-hour sign is good for what, about a quarter of a mile out there? Maybe a little further? Well, they're getting up to 35, 40 out there, which I think the speed limit is 35 further on out.
Also, the concerns are going to the right. You go out in the parking lot to make the right. Going back there to the stop sign, after the stop sign up on the hill is where the calls are going. Those are the ones I received. So we addressed it. I did get a call back on Friday that said, hey, I appreciate it because it is, whatever you said, worked Friday. We'll continue to remind them as much as we have to.
And I know at the beginning of the school year, this is an ongoing and a reoccurring problem.
Right, until, as the chief said, we did contact the state police, so we're working hand in hand with them to see if we can put somebody out. It'll take 1 or 2. to see them. And then
We still
unfortunately,
do the afternoon announcements at 2 o'clock daily, Mr. Hutchinson. You know, just maybe a daily
we
announcement.
did, we talked, and we'll continue to do it. Going back, Mr. Dunn, I think I got maybe 4 that were acting, irresponsible. So, but I couldn't get a description of those cars. The one description I did get, I've checked since last Wednesday, and it hasn't shown up in the lot yet.
I know they're not from our school.
Correct, correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. All the lines of school safety and security, the PCCD grant and the opportunities out there for districts in the state. Last year, we did receive the meritorious, I think it was $25,000 that we did put toward the purchase of the bag scanners at the middle school and the additional ones at the high school. This year, I believe our district can receive up to $40,000 with that meritorious grant, as well as the competitive portion. We can receive more than $400,000 in grants to address school safety and security. So Mr. Hutchinson and I did go to Charleroi this afternoon and spoke to their superintendent and the person that they used to write their grant in the past. And he is very interested in coming to speak with us to see about helping us with writing the competitive part to that grant. So I will be meeting with Mr. Hutchinson. This is the exact principles to determine exactly what we want to write in that grant, what we would like to pursue. And my first thoughts are that we should pursue something that's going to help our district and benefit the violence before things start, the mental health piece. Looking at writing that into the grant to get someone to work with students at the elementary level. It might be funding that we can receive if we get this grant to pay for a position for 2 to 3 years. They have a person working in the elementaries, working with the students while they're at school, as well as working with the parents, helping them with parenting to try to prevent some of the issues we see due to mental health. I think there would be a needed position at the middle school and high school levels, so that could be 2 positions. So there's no guarantee we'll get anything, and this gentleman is willing to come meet with us in our district, and he does charge a fee for writing the grant, and if we're awarded anything, there will be an honorarium. If we don't receive anything with the competitive grant, we would just be paying him to write the grant. So I think it's last year, I want to say Charleroi used this gentleman to help write their competitive grant, and they were awarded $459,000 that they were able to redo all of their doors on their campus. Now they're fortunate enough to have a high school, middle school, and elementary all on one campus. But anyhow, just want to let you know that we will be pursuing that, and I'll be setting up a meeting with this gentleman to see how we can utilize him to benefit our district. Okay, any other questions for anyone? There is a need for an executive session for personnel, collective bargaining, and student confidentiality.
Excuse me, is there time for a public forum comment? Yes.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Thank you. My name is Leanne McCalby, and I live on Liberty Street in Smithfield. I have 4 children in the district. I have 2 at South Middle School and 2 at Smithfield. I'm here to address the board tonight as a concerned parent for Smithfield Elementary. I've had several parents, some of the kids. There's a lot of rumors going around about the closing of the building. And now I have not heard anything at the meetings, and I know it has not been brought to a vote. I do know that the board is looking to consolidate buildings eventually to save money. And what I've heard is that the district is looking to split the kids at Smithfield between Masontown and Friendship Hill, with the 5th graders going to South Middle. So I have had children enrolled at Smithfield since 2011. In that time, my kids have had very much success in this community school. The school consistently performs well in the PSSAs and beyond testing. The school has many community outreach activities. It has excellent programming in the arts, excellent teachers, excellent special classes. And the volunteerism at this school is exceptionally high. And frequently, we go to volunteer for something and they say, no, we have enough. We have enough parents, and they have to turn parents away. So we also have a PTO that successfully fundraises and provides enormous support for educational items. The surrounding community is often part of this support, and for that we are very, very grateful. If this is a potential, the closure of the school, while it would impact the students the most, it would have a huge impact on our borough. I live right in the borough, right next to the school. And it's not good for a community that's already struggling to have another empty building. Property values would certainly go down, and the volunteerism and the community morale that currently exists would not easily be replaced. The school is full right now. Pretty much the numbers I got today, there are 322 students at the school. And on the district website, they indicated the capacity for the school is 325. Now, 43 of those families that do attend Smithfield are actually outside of the attendance area. So there are people, I think, who are actually voting with their feet and saying, hey, we really like this school, we want our kids to go there. On the other hand, and I do understand that the boiler system is old, then the building needs a new roof. I think everybody is aware of that it's an older building. And we have 3 very old overflow modular trailers that sit behind the building that are used for classrooms frequently. And even with that being said, clearly we aren't there for the facility. The school is still part of the reason we've decided to stay in Smithfield and to stay in the district. The facility may be in need of an upgrade or replacement, but the community engagement and the education provided by the people in that building is irreplaceable. It truly is. And so if this is a decision you're going to make, I ask that you be transparent and let the parents know and the students know as soon as possible. And if this is not something you're looking to do, I ask that you promptly provide a necessary repair to Smithfield Elementary. Thank you.
I stood in your same spot, I think it was in 2017, the first time I ever addressed the board was that same issue that I had heard rumors that Smithfield was slated to be closed. Since getting on the board, I know that Mr. Pegg presented a presentation about consolidation of schools. When that would happen, and under the Pennsylvania's laws on transparency, that entire discussion amongst the board or any form of the board should be open to the public with the public's participation. My understanding, though, is that as much as the administration may still want that, because of the lack of plan con, we're currently not pursuing any avenue of building a new school, correct?
No. What I had presented last year to the, actually I think it was the spring of 18, about consolidating the district, that would be involved building a new middle school and closing several elementaries and having 3 elementary centers, 1 middle school, 1 high school. There is no plan con. If they do bring back plan con, there's no money attached to it, so it doesn't really help us to do that. We will be having a discussion in the future, the possibility of needing to close the school in the district, but that would, as Mrs. Charity Group has stated, that would be a public meeting, that would be the executive session, and if there would be plans to do that, the public would be part of those meetings, and we would, follow all necessary timelines and make sure that we are doing things appropriately.
So we did that when we
When we closed the third, it was all public.
we had to let something. Correct.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's required that it can't be part of a normal meeting. There has to be a specific public hearing for the purpose of closing the school. And people would be made to know that it's going to be the purpose of the hearing in advance. So it won't just sneak up on anybody.
And how far in advance does that meeting have to be?
I can't remember.
Well,
the
for
exact
example, whenever this building was closed, there were meetings, I want to say in September. The board had a 3-month period they had to wait, and then they actually voted, I think, in January, February, to close the school for the following year.
Are we required by law to do feasibility studies before making?
I mean, certainly we're required to, should we've gone through it, and actually to close a building, we have to get permission from DEP.
Okay.
So there is at some level certain scrutiny from the state as far as is it proper and is it advisable to close a building.
We actually held a public meeting at the high school. Well, we just expect a lot. We just accommodate.
Okay, as I said, there is a need for an executive session for personnel, collective bargaining, and student confidentiality.